Hello, everyone, and welcome to Foodie Squared. Each week, I am going to bring to you a collection of 4 food topics. We will examine the history, how they were created, where did they come from, how did they get here, and these are foods you eat every day. Our first subject today is going to be meatloaf. America is the only country that doesn't put a certain protein inside the meatloaf. Cream chip beef. Cream chip beef happened, was a big part of the military. We're going to learn about that. Hot dogs, that's the most fascinating topic tonight. It's going to be fascinating. I'm going to teach you how the hot dog came to be, and I'm going to teach you why is there a bun with a hot dog, and we're going to learn why. Our last foodie topic is mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is probably the most interesting. I just want everyone to look below the video at the bottom of the video and you'll see a website. It's called PhillyRestaurantReviews.com. And we're going to go through the website. I'm going to navigate the website. My name is Kevin Wilson. I'm author of the book Table for One, available at Barnes & Noble. I am the author of all the restaurant reviews on the website. The website is based in Philadelphia. And basically, the website has over 400 restaurant photos with reviews. The website also has an audio food tour. What is an audio food tour, you might be asking? Basically, an audio food tour, we did a whole season of podcasts where we gave you the best restaurants in Philadelphia and New Jersey to find every meal of the day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and every ethnic cuisine. But when you come to Philadelphia, what are you looking for? You're looking for cheesesteaks. So the audio food tour has 48 shows where we gave the best restaurants to find cheesesteaks, hoagies. Where's the best place I can get dressed up? I'm only visiting Philadelphia for 4 days. I want to go to a nice restaurant. We did a whole show about that. I'm in Philadelphia touring. I want to go out to breakfast somewhere great. We did a whole show. Lunch. I want to go out to lunch somewhere great. We did a whole show about it. That is found at PhillyRestaurantReviews.com. It's in the audio food tour section, but here's the best part. The average food tour in the city of Philadelphia is $40. That's right, you heard me correct. So if you want to go to the Redden Terminal and take a food tour, it's going to cost you around $40. Keep in mind that those food tours get a kickback from the restaurant, so they're biased. Our show in season 1, none of us are affiliated with any restaurant whatsoever. All of our restaurant recommendations are unbiased. Nobody's paying us. We have no affiliation with restaurants. When you go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com, I have over 400 restaurant reviews. 58% of them are negative. So the restaurant recommendations that you get during the audio food tour are legit picks. Nobody's paying us. 58% of my reviews on the website are negative. So I'm not out kissing people's butts. So you can go to the website, PhillyRestaurantReviews.com, right below this video, and go take the audio food tour. Here's the best part about the audio food tour. I have it split up for every tourist attraction. So that means if you guys are coming to Philly, you're going to go to the Liberty Bell. I have a whole show revolving around the Liberty Bell. All you got to do is go to the food tour, choose Liberty Bell, and we'll give you the best spots to go to lunch near the Liberty Bell or dinner. I also, the best part, we did 3 cheesesteak shows. I'm going to Philly. I'm coming from Montana. Guess what? I want to get the best cheesesteak. We have 3 shows filled with cheesesteak places that nobody talks about. They're not tourist traps. They're legitimate, great cheesesteaks. I want to come to Philadelphia. I want to get a hoagie. I heard a lot about the hoagie. Let me check it out. We gave 4 shows about hoagies. We did shows about breakfast. We did shows about lunch. We did shows about dinner. And I broke down the audio food tour to tie it into the tourist attraction you're coming to see. I want to go to the Constitution Center. I want to go to Liberty Bell. We have a whole 2 shows that revolved around restaurants in that area. So you just go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com, click on Audio Food Tour, and you can find out where the best restaurants are in Philly or New Jersey. A lot of people travel to Philly and stay in New Jersey. We covered New Jersey also. So you just take the Audio Food Tour. Here's the best part. You all are going to get very, very excited about this. The average food tour in Philadelphia is $40. What I did was I took our podcasts, I converted them into a food tour for just $5. That's right, you heard me. $5. Each food tour can be put on 5 different listening devices. So if you got a family of 5, or you're coming with friends, you got 5 guys, or you're coming with, or 5 girls, whatever. Each food tour comes to just $1 because you're getting 5 food tours for $5. So each food tour for each individual in your group of 5 is just $1. So keep that in mind. Instead of dishing out $40 times 5, which is $200, you come, you take our food tour. We're going to give you unbiased picks, and you're going to pay $1 a person. So I don't know if you can beat that deal. A family of 5 or a group of friends of 5 are only paying $1 compared to $40. Because each food tour is sold in packs of 5, and there's only $5. So that's $1 per person. So all you do is go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com, look for the Audio Food Tour, and we're going to save you $195 compared to the average food tour price. So that's what I want you guys to know. Let's get started. Once again, Foodie Squared is going to air every week. I'm going to pick 4 food topics, and I'm going to show you the history, how it evolved, where did it come from. Listen to the Dining on a Dime podcast, where we give you ways to save on your monthly food budget. We give you foodie news, and we give you cooking tips too. Dining on a Dime is available on all podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, of course, and Google Play, plus every other place you get a podcast. Let's get started. My most fascinating tip for you guys tonight, and piece of info, was mac and cheese. You eat mac and cheese every day, but you don't think about where did it come from. Well, the first modern recipe came from a cookbook written in 1770. And here's the fascinating part about mac and cheese. I'm going to go off script. What happened was Thomas Jefferson was in Paris with his cook, and they had macaroni and cheese for the first time over in Paris. What he did was Thomas Jefferson actually, because there were no cell phones and no cameras, Thomas Jefferson actually drew a sketch of the macaroni and cheese that he ate in Paris that he loved. He drew a sketch because there was no cameras, brought it back to America, and served it at a state dinner. So Thomas Jefferson was the first person to bring mac and cheese from Paris to the United States. He drew a photo of what it looked like because there were no cameras. And then he went and he got the ingredients and he cooked it. He served it at a state dinner. And the funny part about that was a reverend who attended the dinner publicly said that he hated it. The first actual recipe that is called macaroni and cheese was written by a Virginia housewife's cookbook, and that was in 1824. The 1953 Better Homes and Gardens cookbook is one of the first to mention Velveeta cheese in mac and cheese. So what's fascinating, what I read, now keep in mind, all of these food histories, there are several versions. Hot dogs, when we get to hot dogs, you're going to learn there's several stories. I'm picking for you every week the most interesting story. So mac and cheese, Jefferson's over in Paris. He has it for the first time. He loved it so much that he drew a photo because there were no cameras, brought it back to the U.S., And they got the ingredients together to make the first macaroni and cheese. Funniest part is he served it at a state dinner, and there was a reverend who publicly said he hated it. So, keep in mind, we will be here every week. Let's move on. Food topic number 2 is meatloaf. Meatloaf was first mentioned in the Roman cookery collection Apicius, and that was as early as the 5th century. In the 5th century, it's a German, Scandinavian, and Belgian dish, and it's a cousin of the Dutch meatball. The modern American meatloaf that you eat now did not appear in cookbooks till the late 19th century. Now, here's the fascinating thing, and we're going to go off script again. Here's what's fascinating about meatloaf. It is served all over the world. Most of the foreign countries that make meatloaf fill it with boiled eggs. Yes, you heard me. Most meatloafs outside of the U.S. have hard-boiled eggs inside them. I'll give you an example. In Argentina, it is filled with ham, cheese, and vegetables. In Bulgaria, they put hard-boiled eggs in the center. The Czech Republic, meatloaf is made with hard-boiled eggs inside. So I found it fascinating that the modern American recipe does not include hard-boiled eggs, but when I was doing the research, tons of countries put hard-boiled eggs inside their meatloaf. Meatloaf became popular during the Great Depression. People would use meatloaf to stretch out the food budget. So they would stretch the meatloaf out. They would fill it with fillers so that it could stretch their budgets. All right. And then cream chip beef. Let's go on to cream chip beef. Cream chip beef became very popular during the war. So what happened was that would be the common practice if you're in the Army or Navy or whatever. Cream chip beef was a staple on that menu. But what I thought was interesting about cream chip beef was that its first use goes back as early as 1935. But here's what I liked about the cream chip beef, and that's why I'm mentioning it tonight. Cream chip beef has been mentioned on the TV show MASH several times. It's been mentioned on the Three Stooges, The Honeymooners, Golden Girls, and like dozens of other TV shows. So it's kind of interesting that it's a common food item. And I couldn't believe how many TV shows talked about cream chip beef. They give you a whole listing. It was like, several dozen. All right. Now, here's our last topic. Every week, we're going to give you 4 food items, and we're going to go and tell you the history of each food item. Okay, hot dogs. And this is a controversial topic. Hot dogs have several stories behind its creation. So I'm going to pick for you the most interesting story. First of all, the word Frankfurter comes from Frankfurt, Germany, where a similar item was created. They credit a German immigrant for bringing hot dogs to America in the modern day form. Here's the story. We're going to go off script again. There was a guy in St. Louis who was a German immigrant. And what he was doing was he was selling hot dogs, but he was giving people gloves to hold the hot dog because it was hot. Now, there was no bun at this time. He was giving people gloves with every hot dog purchased so they can carry the hot dog and eat it. Here's the problem. Nobody returned the gloves. They loved buying the hot dog, but nobody would return the gloves that he gave them to eat the hot dog. So he goes home one night. He's a baker, and he tells his wife, he says, I can't do it. He says, I'm losing a fortune on the gloves because people would take the hot dog and hold it with the gloves, but they wouldn't return the gloves. So he said to his wife, he says, it's a great seller, but nobody's returning my gloves. So since he was a baker, the wife turned to him and said, well, why don't you have it put on a piece of bread? And he says, that sounds crazy. And she said, no. She goes, put it on the bread that we bake and sell it that way, and now you don't have to spend money on gloves. So that is one story, because there's a lot of stories behind the creation of a hot dog, but that is one story. This guy was a German immigrant in St. Louis selling hot dogs. The hot dogs, he was giving people gloves because he never thought of bread, and people were not returning the gloves. So that is how you have the role of the hot dog this day. But guess what? There's a lot of stories to this. Another story that is popular behind the creation of a hot dog was, they say that some people say that the hot dog was first well known for being sold at the 1904 World's Fair on a bun. So they claim that it was first famous at the 1904 World's Fair, and that was also created by a German baker, a German immigrant. So let's go through the list again. Most fascinating part about the creation of mac and cheese was that Thomas Jefferson was in Paris. He had it for the first time. He loved it so much, there were no cameras back there, that he drew a sketch of it. And then him and his chef for the White House came back and they recreated it based upon the sketch that Jefferson wrote. And Jefferson also dug deep and gave a lot of details about the dish so that his chef can recreate it. Keep in mind, all of these food histories have different stories to them, but I'm picking for you the most interesting. Second thing we talked about was meatloaf. Meatloaf is served worldwide, but America is one of the few places that the popular recipe of meatloaf does not include hard-boiled eggs inside. So I found that fascinating when I was reading that. What I like about this show every week, Foodie Squared, is that we're going to tell you about the stuff you eat every day. I'm sure all of you have eaten a hot dog within the last week, but you never thought of how come it has a bun. How was that created? Meatloaf, same thing. People eat meatloaf a lot because it stretches their food budget. They can put a lot of breadcrumbs and stretch out the meat for a long time. Cream chip beef. I mean, it was fascinating to me to find out how many shows on TV and in the movies mentioned cream chip beef. I thought that was fascinating. There's literally dozens. And then so I just found that fascinating. Every single week we will bring you 4 foodie topics. I'm going to give you the history. I heard a story about Ben Franklin inventing tofu. We'll dig into that in the weeks to come. I'm trying to pick food items that you guys eat every single week. So I'll pick you a common food item, and then I will tell you the history. Keep in mind, this show is going to be brought to you every single week, where it's sponsored by the Dining on a Dime podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms. Go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com. You can see it right under me. I got the link to the website. If you're visiting Philadelphia from outside the area, you must take an audio food tour. Our checkout system is second to none. We're using the same technology that a lot of big places use. We've gotten compliments over how fast and speedy our checkout is, how safe and secure the checkout is. It's $5 to find out where the best food is in Philadelphia, New Jersey. And you get to have 5 listening devices for every $5. So it's only really $1 a food tour. Now, what you can do is you can purchase a food tour and then tie it to my restaurant reviews. I have over 427 restaurant reviews on the site. I recommend that if you are coming to Philadelphia to visit, I recommend that you buy a food tour and look through my restaurant reviews, because I don't think there's a popular restaurant that I have not reviewed. So you can listen to the audio food tour first and then go read my review. And maybe there's a place you had on your agenda to attend in Philadelphia that you might want to skip, because we mentioned in our shows, keep in mind, our shows give you positive and negative about every restaurant. We're unbiased. So there's a lot of popular restaurants in Philadelphia that we completely slam. So if you're looking to go to Jack in the Box or whatever whatever the restaurant's name is, listen to the show. Liberty Bell show is great. So if you're coming to look at the Liberty Bell, if you're coming to go to the Constitution Center, I highly, highly recommend that you listen to our show that I have titled Liberty Bell. And that's in the audio food tour under Liberty Bell. You must listen to that. I give you the best restaurants, bar none, near the Liberty Bell. And none of those food tours are going to tell you. Another thing, Reading Terminal is a very popular tourist attraction in Philadelphia. We have an entire food tour wrapped around the Reading Terminal. So if you're coming to Philly and you want to see the Reading Terminal, which is bar none the best market in the country. Tons of places to eat. It can be overwhelming. We often say on the show, hey, look, that Reading Terminal is overwhelming with picks to eat. I promise you, look on the audio food tour. We have a whole show, an entire hour dedicated to the Reading Terminal. We give you the good spots and we tell you the bad ones. So you don't have to, if you have something on your agenda, we've had a lot of emails from people that listened to the show. When we did it last season, they said, hey, I'm in Montana, I'm visiting Philly, I'm so happy I listened to your show because that was the spot I had picked and we all bashed it. So it just gives you a guide. We're not saying that you shouldn't still go there, but just it gives you a guiding light. Once again, within the next 6 months, this channel will have 7 days of 1 hour original foodie programming. I want you all to subscribe at the bottom of the page. I want you to click the subscribe button because within the next 6 months, we are going to have every day of the week with the original show. Foodie Squared is tonight. It's still I'm still tweaking it. Tonight was kind of a rough shot. But every week you're going to get 4 food topics. I think next week we'll do breakfast. How did that come to be? I heard a story about breakfast that I find fascinating. I'm going to research that and give it to you next week. A lot of you have heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I found out that is a marketing scam. Back in the 50s, they were trying to help the farmers and sell eggs. And they had a doctor come out and recommend breakfast just to shine a light on eggs and help the farmers. So that's fascinating. I'm going to look into that. We're going to talk about that next week. We'll be covering certain food items you eat every day, such as grilled cheese. How often do you eat grilled cheese? Often. Who knows where grilled cheese came from? Not many people. Stuff like that. So that's going to happen over the next few weeks. This is going to be a half-hour show every week, and I promise you the next few weeks is not going to be all promotion for the Dining on a Dime podcast and the Philly Restaurant Reviews website. I just wanted, since this is our first show, I just wanted to nail home that our show is the best resource for people visiting Philadelphia. Last year, people visiting Philadelphia and New Jersey were over 47 million. So I know we have an audience. I know the audience is out there because the stats prove that over 47 million people visited Philadelphia, South Jersey, this whole area last year. So that's who we're talking to right now. Maybe some of you live in Philadelphia and you're like, I'm tired of eating at the same cheesesteak spot, or I'm tired of getting the same hoagies. Go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com. We cover each food topic, and we'll give you the best places to go unbiased. So I know a lot of friends of mine always ask me where to go for this and that and the other thing. Where do I go for pasta or whatever? We cover everything. We even have a pizza show. So if you're coming to Philly and you're like, hey, man, I could use a good slice of pizza. I'm living on the other side of the country, and I haven't really had good pizza. We did a whole pizza show. We did a whole Italian restaurant show. I like to eat Italian. We're in Philadelphia. Can I go get some good Italian food? We covered it. So, and we covered the colleges. This is important. We did 2 shows that are near Drexel and Penn. So say your son or daughter is going to college at Drexel or Penn, you got to travel across country to go visit the campus. We have shows in the audio food tour that'll tell you the best places to go near both Drexel and Penn in the college area of Philadelphia. So the food tour is beneficial to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. Tons of people come every year to visit the college campuses located in Philadelphia. We have done shows that give you the best places in those areas. So I want to make sure you guys know that. Every week will not be a commercial like tonight. We're going to focus on the food topics that I write about. I think the most fascinating story I gave tonight was about Thomas Jefferson drawing the picture of the macaroni and cheese. He took extensive notes, and he brought it back to America and had his chef write about it. So I think that's pretty cool. So every week we're going to do about 20 to 30 minutes of content. Tonight was a lot of commercial stuff, but I just wanted to get the point out there. Our station is called Food and Beverage Information Station, so it kind of rhymes. So if you guys are watching this, I want you to go to YouTube. I want you to search for Food and Beverage Information Station. And then I want you guys to subscribe to the page. That's the most important thing. Tell your friends, tell your family. Subscribe to Food and Beverage Information Station on YouTube. Powered by the Dining on a Dime podcast and PhillyRestaurantReviews.com. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. I just want to make sure you're prepared. Next week is going to be a lot more organized. Today just kind of happened on the fly. And next week is going to pick out 4 very interesting food topics. And we're going to tell you where they come from, how they were created, what happened here, what happened there. Keep in mind that a lot of the food topics that we discuss on this show have several different ways that they were created. I'm giving you the most interesting. So the hot dog, telling you that the hot dog was first came to be at a World Fair, that's not really fascinating. Telling you about a hot dog was created by a German baker who was giving gloves to the patrons who bought the hot dogs, and then people weren't returning the gloves. That's a fascinating story. So that's the kind of stories we're going to give you. Please follow us on Twitter at Dining on a Dime 1. So you have to put the number 1 at the end of Dining on a Dime on Twitter. You want to find our Facebook page? I got tons of restaurant photos, tons of stuff for you guys on Facebook. You can read my restaurant articles on Facebook also. Simply go to facebook.com/Dining on a Dime 1 with the number 1 / and you will see our Facebook page. Now, if you're sitting at home and you're looking to come to Philly as a visitor, like we've been talking about, I highly, highly encourage you to go to Instagram. Look up KJW1972. I'm going to say it again so you guys can write it down. KJW1972 on Instagram. You'll see hundreds of photos along with my Facebook page, facebook.com/KJW25. And between the two, there's like 660 photos of restaurants in Philadelphia. My co-host on the show is a guy named John Cole, who is a very, very successful restaurant consultant. So he's got New Jersey covered. So if you're coming to Philly and you're staying in New Jersey, or if you're just coming to visit New Jersey, we covered the whole state of New Jersey. So we gave you the best restaurants in the entire state of New Jersey. One of our guests was the top food writer for the state of New Jersey, Pete Genovese. He joined us on 2 shows. So say you're visiting, or say your work is sending you to New Jersey. We have New Jersey covered. So that's about it. We're going to wrap it up. Delaware, we covered Delaware, and we covered the Philadelphia suburbs. So if you guys are visiting those areas, go to PhillyRestaurantReviews.com and take the audio food tour. I promise as the weeks go on, the shows are going to be more organized. I'm just kind of grabbing a cell phone and filming it now. I wrote it out real quick. So join us again for Foodie Squared. It's going to be in 1 week. Wednesday at 9 p.m. is our next Foodie Squared show. All right, everybody. Have a great night.